Alright, so for this first video, I'm basically going to explain how you're going to create a seamless pattern. And that pattern is going to be something that you can apply to your custom brushes later on. So let's head into the images here where I have a selection of reference images. These will be included in the DVD for the workshop. There's two patterns here. I'm going to go with this one. First thing you need to do is basically just select a squared off area. So you don't have to be precise. We're going to fix the dimensions later. But make sure that you're selecting an area that doesn't have too many um, areas that stand out, such as this little white dot, and areas that are larger, dark portions and things that kind of will end up standing out too much. So that looks pretty good. And just do image crop. Alright, so now let's change the dimensions, the image size. We want to make sure that it's equal, so we're going to go with 500. So let's do the canvas size and pixels relative. So we're going to change that to 500, which is going to crop the edges. And we're going to click OK. It's going to ask you if you want to clip portions of the image, which is what we want to do, so that's fine. Click proceed. So now we have the image which is at 500 by 500 pixels. Click OK. And the first thing that you want to do is to go to image, or first let's select all, X. So Control X cut, Control V paste, and then we're going to filter other offset, and you're going to want to add in half of the amount of pixels of the image itself. So 250 by 250. Click OK. So now the edges are already going to be seamless. We just need to take care of the seams in the middle. And that's pretty simple. All you need to do is go over to the healing brush, hold it down, and then you could go down to the patch tool. And now what you're going to want to do is just select these seamed portions. And I'd like to select a larger area. Don't try and make it too thin. And that way then you just select a portion of the seam, hold down and move over, and then you're just going to sample from different areas of the image. And generally you want to try and sample on the same horizontal field so that you're not sampling the seams that are over here. So let's say around here, that looks pretty good. And then you unsample, and you can see, it's a little blurred, so you can Control Z and redo that and sample a different area. I'm trying to get something that looks a little better, which that's not bad, but you can go in and you can refix it. So we're just going to do this real quick. Again, sample, select an area, sample another portion, and getting rid of the seams. So we're going to do the horizontal portions. Okay, that looks pretty good. Alright, let's try fixing this area here. And this still looks like the seam is showing up a little too much. Let's go maybe over here. Alright, so that's not bad. There's some blurred sections, but as you zoom out, you can go in and see what kind of looks like it's matching up or creating too much of a pattern. You really want it to be a texture, not a pattern. You don't want it to repeat. So this area down here looks a little too light compared to the area up there. So now what we can do is, let's do the patch tool again. Let's select this area and resample it with a portion of the darker section. Okay. And then let's do the opposite and select a portion here of the lighter version. Now we zoom out, and that's not looking too bad. Now what I like to do with the a pattern or a texture is to go to grayscale, flatten the image, and let's boost up the values. So go to image, adjust, levels, and let's make it an extra, let's say 22% darker, and let's drop it down to about 235% for the whites. So this way is if I hit Control Z back and forth, you can see you're bringing out a little bit more of the textures through the values, which also again will allow you to see what's not working within the texture in terms of what stands out. So let's try and fix that light area. Go back to the patch tool. We're going to select this area and resample from a darker portion, and that looks pretty good. Let's do down here too. Resample from another darker area, and maybe from over here. Alright, that's looking pretty good. So now we're going to save it and do edit, define pattern, and you're going to label your pattern. Let's label it as Rocky dash scales, because we're going to use this pattern, or you could use this pattern for the surface texture of a creature or an animal. You can also use it for environments, so it can work either way. I wouldn't recommend using them strictly for painting the actual patterns or the scales or the surface texture of the animal, but to use them as an underlying base texture. So you click OK, and that's that. So just to double check it, let's select all, Control A, Control C, copy, and then let's change the canvas size and add, say, an extra 10 inches just to give us enough space. And then we're going to Control V, which is going to repaste. Okay. So now we want to hit Control Alt J, which is going to copy, and then just move it over to match it up. And I have if you go under View, you want to make sure that you have Snap selected, so this way it'll automatically snap in. Hit Control J again. And then we can just copy and merge down those 3 sections. Hit Control J again, move them over, and then the same thing, Control J with the piece in the middle. And as you can see already, it's basically a seamless pattern. So this is what's going to happen once you actually apply this to a brush and you begin painting. It's going to allow you to keep this pattern flowing smoothly without any seams showing up. So that's basically it, and you go back to basically the pattern that we started with.